name is Hamza Howidy. I was born and raised in the Gaza Strip. I was born in 1997. So when Israel withdrew from the Gaza Strip, I was a young child who witnessed a lot of events, a lot of not good events in the Gaza Strip. During my childhood, as everyone in Gaza, we were like governed by a terrorist regime that was filling us with the propaganda. I was that young kid who wanted to quote unquote liberate Palestine from the river to the sea. I wanted to be that freedom fighter, that the one who's fighting. And on the other hand, and thankfully, there was my father who was had some experience with dealing with the Islamists. So he was the guy who was always telling me that I'm going in the wrong direction. He was directing me. So I have a lot of gratitude to him. And I was, as everyone in Gaza, filled with the propaganda, filled with anti-Semitism, filled with everything, until in 2019, I and many friends in the Gaza Strip decided that this is enough for us. No one dared to speak against Hamas since they took the Gaza Strip since 2006. So we decided to stand. So we decided to go on the streets with simple demands, just simply asking for living. Our protest name was "We Want to Live." Unfortunately, Hamas responded with sending their militias to us, beating and kidnapping as much as they could. They arrested like 3,000 people in a day. And I think that I don't have to tell you how it is in their captivity. I was released and I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I noticed an unprecedented level of hypocrisy. No one dared to speak about us when we were jailed. None of the pro-Palestinian movement dared to say what is going on with these people in Hamas jails, why they were arrested, why they were beaten. So I felt betrayed and decided to be silent, as everyone in Gaza, just to go with the flow. In 2023, I couldn't afford that anymore because Hamas managed to split the Gaza Strip into two layers. You have the wealthy elite of Hamas members, their leaders, their supporters, and the remaining citizens who struggle every day just to secure anything to live with. So we decided, just a few months before the Hamas commits the atrocities of October the 7th, we protested in June and we went to the streets. Unfortunately, and as always, no one is interested because it's a Palestinian matter. Israel is not involved. No Jews, no news. We were arrested. No human rights organization spoke about us. Amnesty International was silent. The UN were silent. Al Jazeera was broadcasting how is the weather in Gaza. The moment my family managed to pay the bribe and get me out of the jail, my father told me, this is your next time. The third time I can't afford it. I can't pay the bribe again. So he told me, if you are going to deal it, you have to deal with the consequences yourself. So I decided that this is never going to be solved. So I decided to leave, and immediately I went from the Gaza Strip to Egypt through the Rafah crossing, then to Egypt, then to Turkey. And once I arrived to Turkey, I realized that I have no idea how to go to Europe, how to get to the smugglers, how to connect to them, or what to do. Thankfully, and by coincidence, I managed to cross the sea with the death boats or the immigration boats until I arrived to Greece, and I thought that I have to start from scratch. It's a new life in Europe, you have the freedom here, you have everything here. A few months, Hamas committed the atrocities of October the 7th, and I was like, this is not what we got used to. I mean, we got used to violence between Palestinians and Israelis, we got used to military operation, but not this. And the thing that I think that motivated me a lot is the scene where I saw some of the stupid Gazans who were celebrating this. Exactly the same way when they celebrated when Hamas took over the Gaza Strip and they killed 700 Palestinians from Fatah, but of course the pro-Palestinian movement didn't care. The scene was stuck in my head. I mean, despite all the atrocities, you are seeing people celebrating this. So I decided that the people in the West wouldn't understand the realities in the Gaza Strip. There are people who want to speak, but they can't. One of them was my friend, and who was also jailed with me, Amin Abed. Amin Abed simply wrote a post on Facebook during the war, just asking Hamas to release the hostages and to end the war. He ended up in the ICE in Gaza, then he was sent to the Emirates just to receive medical care, simply for writing a post on Facebook, so you can imagine. And I decided to be the voice of those who cannot speak in Gaza, those who say no to violence, those who are pro-peace. I know this sounds as a weird idea for you, because Hamas oppresses everyone in Gaza. There is like no free media or whatever. Only what Hamas wants to get published is the thing that you see. And that's my story. And since October the 7th, I think that I don't miss any chance to promote the voice of peace, to say no to violence, to say no to terrorism. That's it.
My name is Hagar. I'm originally from Israel, and I moved to Berlin 9 years ago. In my day-to-day life, I'm a tech leader. I work in different high-tech and startups, and I had nothing to do with activism. I was always pro-freedom and peace, and being able to live together, to respect the other person who sits in front of you, and to be able to listen to the voice on the other side. That's kind of how I approach life. And woke up in October 7th to the chaos and massacre that everyone else saw. Sorry, a bit emotional about it. Lost a lot of people on October 7th. One of them was my cousin that was murdered on the Nova Festival. Yeah, this was paralyzing, as one can imagine. And it took me 2 months of silence, of anxious, of fear, of not seeing the good of the other side, and thinking that there is no future for the Israelis and Palestinians being able to actually live in peace. And 2 months where I realized, well, fear and terror can't control my life. I won't let it. That's not my surrounding. That's not my colleagues. That's not my friends or family. I won't let it control the way we live, and we have to change it. And therefore I decided to take a stand and slowly started to go to demos, to speak to people, to have the louder voice of peace and freedom, and standing united together. Later on, I joined the initiative of Civil Watch, monitoring the streets, reporting on any anti-Semitism incidents or graffitis. Then moved into I'm From Israel, Ask Me Anything project, going into unis, talking to students, expressing how anti-Semitism feels, how we experience it, how it feels when someone judges you and spit on you on the street just because you're saying you're Israeli, without knowing what is your perspective and what do you wish for when you talk about the war and the conflict and our future together. In addition, I'm also part of the production team who did Hostages Square here in Berlin, twice, going back to the 3rd time until they are all released. And I have another initiative for interactive games in schools and high schools for fighting anti-Semitism and racism and promoting tolerance between people.
Actually, I'm from Israel, yeah. I'm here around 8 years now, and until 7th of October I was not so active, not at all. And of course, after 7th of October, things changed, and I thought I'll go back to be like a left-wing activist, going on the street, calling for peace between Israel and Palestine, and I found out really fast that saying anything about Israel, going with Uri of Neri, with an activist that had like a flag of Israel and Palestine together. This is not. There is no place for people who want that, and we started to see propaganda on the street that is proper Hamas propaganda, which was shocking. And then we decided, a group of activists, to do something, and we started this group called Civil Watch Against Antisemitism, where we collected info. You can see on our Instagram, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. And at some point we thought to be more active and to try to go to universities and have a info stand or like a debate stand where we talk to people. And it was quite successful. We did quite a lot of universities.
So, to be honest, at the beginning of the war, when I noticed the protest, I loved it. They were calling for Palestine and I'm Palestinian, so it was logical for me. I loved the protest at the beginning. I do not like to generalize, but mostly I noticed, as I said before, an unprecedented level of hypocrisy. I mean, not only in 2007 when Hamas executed 700 Palestinians, they didn't care, even during the war. There are countless videos of Hamas shooting at Palestinian Gazans simply for taking some bag of flour or something to eat, and the crime is being hungry. The crime is taking the humanitarian food that was sent to the people. If you took it, this is a crime for Hamas. And it's not only a simple punishment, it's shooting in the legs. So most of those people would never be able to walk again. We are talking about more than 550 people. I didn't see the pro-Palestinian movement saying a single word for it. My friend Ziad Abu Hayya, he went in a simple video. He said to Sky News, protect us from Hamas before Israel. Simply that. He went up to his tent, Hamas's militias went to him, tortured him, he ended up in the IC, in the hospital. He finished with the hospital, he went back to his tent, they went to his tent and shot him in front of his children. I didn't see any pro-Palestinian talking about that. And this is my friend. And Ziad is not the only one. Islam al-Sa'afin a few years ago was tortured in Hamas's cells. He was killed. And I didn't see the pro-Palestinian saying a single word about it. I noticed that those people falsely equated the supporting the civilian Palestinian with supporting Hamas. Most of those people were calling for the quote-unquote a genocide and the quote-unquote ethnic cleansing. Once the ceasefire agreement was announced, they were chanting for the victory. I don't know what victory is that, but I would like them to speak anything about Hamas's crimes. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 crimes. It's 18 years of committing crimes against the people of Gaza, and they never said a single word. During the war, a group of people of Gaza, we're talking about a few hundreds, just decided to protest against Hamas, just simply saying, release the hostages and end the war. They went and shot at those people, and there are videos of that. But the pro-Palestinian movement didn't say anything. I saw many pro-Hamas. I prefer to name them pro-Hamas, not a pro-Palestinian movement. I saw some people chanting with anti-Semitic chants, quote-unquote, go back to Poland and stuff like that. And they was like, you are hurting us. I don't want my movement or the Palestinian movement to be known as anti-Semitic movement. That's a shame on us. Most of those people, as I said, they are a pro-Hamas, not a pro-Palestine. Many groups of those people who call themselves a pro-Palestine, at the Brooklyn University in the US, they started even protesting before Israel starts its attack on Gaza. They started protesting immediately after Hamas committed the atrocities. I don't know why they were protesting, what for, and they are not the only ones. There were many protests even before Israel starts its response, which was not easy to Gaza. And after that, I was somehow angry, so I wrote a piece for a magazine, and then I did an interview for the CNN, and I was saying some of what I said already here. Immediately after that, I started receiving threats, and it wasn't by Israelis, it wasn't by quote-unquote Zionists, I'm sorry. But it was by the pro-Palestinian movement, and the police had to come and to change my location just because the pro-Palestinian movement couldn't hear the words that I said. The pro-Palestinian movement, that most of them are non-Palestinians, couldn't afford listening to a Palestinian. And just before this event starts, I was talking to the cameraman, and he showed me an event for a group, a Jewish group who were organizing a dance here in Berlin. The pro-Palestinian movement just decided to go to them and to protest against them. I mean, this is rude. The atrocities of October the 7th are remembered for what happened at the Nova Festival. And those people were dancing, and you are going to their protest. What are you protesting for? So there is a disgusting level of hypocrisy among them. That's it.
It's a terrible situation, but I can't even imagine how it is for the people in Gaza to be bombed on a daily basis, and to not be able to speak their voices. And I think the world is exactly like we here and everyone else, we have the possibility to be their voice and to change it. And we are able to speak for the hostages, that they are not, it's not soldiers that were kidnapped and tortured, where you can say, okay, it's soldiers, they chose it or whatever. It's people that were taken from their houses, it's children and it's women. And you have to stand against it. So for me, it's quite clear, if you stand for peace and you're against war, then that's true for all sides. You can't say, I want peace for one side, but then rest of 5 to 10 million, you can kill them or you can do whatever, they deserve it. So that's the double standard, and that's what I expect to be handled differently. I think, for me, what's important is that, when you talk about even before the war and once the war ends, what do we do next to change it? What do we do next to have a proper peace solution, a proper land for both sides? How does that look like? And this is a discussion that needs to take place always. I feel like that us as holding like the left wing, party kind of way. And you can see it very strongly in Israel, even before October 7th. People are demonstrating on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, against the government, against their ruling, talking about the future of Israel, how this would look like, even regardless to Gaza, to the Palestinians, or to the West Bank. Just for us, people who live in Israel, how does this look like? And the population of Israel contains around 2 million Christians and Muslims. So how does that looks for them? And then this is, when we talk about criticism, this is what we should firstly talk about. And it's never and should never be the right of a group of people existence. Like, it's obviously clear that everyone has the right to exist. And if you are against it, doesn't matter if it's Jewish or not, then you have a problem and you should reflect on yourself.
Yeah, the German state is saying that they are standing on the side of Israel. Do you feel that?
I'm not Jewish, but I'm also chased by the pro-Palestinian movement. So I like the German society, and I like how open it is. But for me, I don't think that I'm safe. I can say that. Because for me, maybe I have like different circumstances, as I live in a refugee camp, and you have people with different opinions, people who doesn't like your opinions, and the problem is that those people are new to Germany. They are not used to the different opinions, so have an open discussion. And after all the incidents that we saw in Germany, you don't know who to trust. You don't know who might be harmful to you, because it's not the best situation. That's the case for me.
It's definitely not. I don't feel safe. I think I speak for a lot of people. After 14 months, we have a lot of evidence because we collect a lot of data and we are in contact with police, and sadly, nothing is happening. Yeah, there's no people in jail sit because attack or anti-Semitism acts or terror support, and it happens on a daily basis. So I don't feel safe. Plus, people already know me. I got, of course, personal threats and everything. But the hardest thing for me is to see that, yeah, okay, people come and politicians come and they say they stand with Israel or they're against Hamas or against terrorism, but no action is taken, okay? But also people allow it, for example, in universities, which is terrible. It's really hard when people allow it. So it's like it's like fighting windmills, yeah, because they can stop it, they can do something different, but they really want to please, I think, minority in the end, very extreme minority, without listening to the majority who's silent, yeah, who's very scared. And that's a very, very scary thought, to think that I'm in Germany, and I moved there because actually I thought it's more democratic than Israel, to know that people succumb to very vile and extreme minority and give all kinds of excuses. Yeah. And yeah, that's very, I don't know what to do with that, because it gives kind of confirmation that it's okay.
That the German government is leaning to and supporting Israel. I do feel like they have a loud voice on the massacre and the hostage situation and anti-Semitism in general. I think we have a problem with what do we do from that point into the surface. What do we do when incidents happen, when someone is being attacked? There is no guidance. A lot of times they're being released after. So what have we done with that? Could be a person that is openly supporting Hamas, openly supporting killing all Jewish, all Israelis, and they will be walking here in the streets. And if we go another level down, then in the university. So again, what do you do in case of an incident? We know walking and talking to students in the universities, on campuses for the past year, everyone who supports, who holds pro-Israeli, pro-hostages, or is a Jewish himself, they're afraid to voice their voices. They're afraid to go on campus. A lot of them stayed home for the first months. Some of them are still not going to school and just studying from home and remotely. And they don't have anyone they can talk to. The professors don't have any procedures or any tools to handle and to solve the situations. And that's where is kind of the gap. That's nice, that feels good that the government wants to do something about it, but in fact there is no action taken. And there is terror and bullying happening and anti-Semitism and incidents that are increasing on a daily basis.
The anniversary of October the 7th, I was here in Berlin doing a talk with the Tats. And after the talk, we decided to go have a beer, and the people with me, some of them were pro-Palestinian, some of them were pro-Israel, and the people told me that there is a protest nearby. And I thought it's a pro-Israeli protest because we are talking about October the 7th. And he told me, no, it's actually a pro-Palestinian one. And my first question was, what they are protesting for on October the 7th? I mean, I won't say we, but I would say Hamas committed the massacres on October the 7th. So you are going to support the massacre or what? It's, like you have all the year to protest, but not this day. And out of curiosity, I just wanted to look at the protest. I mean, I can't enter the protest because if someone recognized me, it won't end well. And I saw, I remember the scene that I saw when the guy was holding his dog and saying in Arabic to the dog to attack the policeman standing. And to be honest, once I started what the people were talking about in Arabic, I told the people, let's go for the beer. I won't never go to the protest because I know that Germany believes, and I believe in free opinion and free speech, but I don't think that in the US you see people protesting for for Taliban or for 11/9. That never happens.
Yeah, I think it's not possible to persuade anti-Semitic people. It's not possible to discuss with them, so there has to be a pressure on them. But you created this project. I'm from Israel. Ask me anything. So what experience did you make? Is this the possibility to enlighten the people, to bring information to the people? Do you think it's for the passive people who don't do anything, there's a lack of information, and this project helps to fight against it?
I'm not a professor, I'm not a doctor, but I saw many things that were just, I would say, ignorant, a lot of ignorance and ideology, that people already come with some ideology and they're not open to debate, and they scream and shout and or just say, scream, I support Hamas, I love Hamas. It happens to us in universities, or called to kill Zionists or whatever. That happens too. But again, I think we don't come with a flag. We don't come with some specific agenda. We always want to come to debate about peaceful solutions, and I think it's very important because a lot of them don't confront with their own ideas. First of all, they're in their bubble. I mean, we all know how it is, right? You have your bubble on social media, and you pretty much get all the information from there, and then you don't expose to the other side.
Always first, like, this is the first reaction. People usually don't want to talk to us. It takes some time. We go for more than one day because we know how it's like. They're always suspicious. What is our agenda? What do we do here? And then slowly they open up and they realize that a lot of the information that they consume is wrong, or they misinterpret it, and they generalize a lot of people. And especially as Israeli who lives in Berlin, what is the experience that we have from people that just hear that we are from Israel? Even if I buy coffee at the coffee shop, or if I go to the bar and I order beer, it's always the same conversation and the same reaction when I say that I'm Israeli. And we feel like this project have given the space for people to actually talk, ask the question, understand more about how we feel and how the people in Israel feel at the moment, to hear more about the protest in Israel, how we criticize the situation and the government and the war and Hamas and everyone that are involved. And we see both Israeli supporters and Palestinian supporters, and we always say, we also Palestinian supporters. We want the Palestinian people to have a real country and freedom, and to live in peace and freedom. There is never a question about it. But it will never come on the expense of killing millions of other people. And that is our statement, and we feel that when we are talking to people, they can relate, they can understand, and the pro-Palestinians can also say, yeah, you know what, that's what we are standing for as well. And we can move out of this shields and just thinking that because I'm Israeli, I'm automatically against someone or against the person who stands in front of me.
Those people should see what Hamas did to Israelis, also what they did to the Gazans themselves, so they can maybe understand what they are chanting for. And as I said, those initiatives are important also to inform the people who just figured out about the conflict, that there are many opinions, there are many arguments about it. You cannot just say that this argument works or this narrative works. Many narratives work. I mean, one of the things that helped me to de-radicalize myself and to be somehow I would call it a peace activist or something like that was when I started reading the book for the Israeli author, I forgot his name. The book's name is Letters for My Palestinian Neighbor. And it was about the narrative, because I was one of those who believed in the narrative of 1948. The Jews came, they kicked us out, and that's it, and we should have it back. But once I read the book, I figured out that there is More to the story. That's not it.
A lot of people wait for the opportunity. That's why when we talk to people, we see that a lot of people they're like, yeah, we want another way, but they don't have a platform. When you say, do you want peace? Yes, I want peace. That's the normal answer, but they cannot go anywhere. You cannot go to this demo or this demo, and you have no option, yeah? And we have a lot of potential in Berlin. I mean, after all the negative things that I saw, and still Berlin have a lot of potential. There's a lot of people who fight this extremism for a long time, even before 7th of October, and we need to give them as much power as possible.
I want to ask you if there are threats to your family that are still in Gaza, how they are trying to silence you even though that you are abroad, and how to make more Palestinians that are actually from Palestine, from Gaza, or the West Bank, speak out, because most of the people that are speaking on behalf of Palestinians never been to the land, never experienced what Hamas is, and their experience is like everybody else for social media. So how to remove this threat, even from people that are outside of Palestine, that they will not attack their families.
February last year, I remember when I wrote I wrote something for the Newsweek article. It was an article titled "Message to the Gazans: We must call for the release of the hostages, if not out of moral obligation, at least to save whatever is left from Gaza." Back then, my family was in a tent, and that was before the Rafah operation. And immediately they went to my family and they started threatening them, to the extent that my mother told them that I have no connection to Hamza, I don't agree with his opinions, just leave us alone. I had to evacuate my family, and it wasn't easy, as the Egyptians have to get the bribe, and it was like $5,000 for each person, and that's a big money in Gaza, and we are a big family, so thankfully they are in Egypt, but even in Egypt, they are not that safe. They got harassed, they got some people who went to my father saying, you are the father of Hamza the Zionist, and stuff like that, so it does not end. And for me, I think it's safer for me in Germany than how it was in Greece, because I was in Greece before coming here. But the online threats does not stop. It became like a daily routine, so I started to get used to that. One of the disgusting things that also somehow motivated me to start speaking after October the 7th is when I saw the archive of the UNRWA teachers' response to the atrocities of October the 7th. That it's provided online, you can look it up. It's an archive for the document, their chatting, and the group where there was students in these groups. It was groups like a WhatsApp groups for the students, Telegram groups for the students. I have no doubt that there are many Hamas members. I think the number is way bigger than the number that you provided. I mean, those who were identified, I think there would be more in the future. But my point is how those quote-unquote teachers responded to the atrocities of October the 7th. I think they were more disgusting than the Hamas people themselves. And the thing that hurted me is that those people are supposed to be teachers teaching the younger generation. So that was one of the things that motivated me, but I can't like say let's shut down the UNRWA without thinking of the people who depend on it. So with no alternative, I can't say that I want to cancel the UNRWA. With no alternative for the poor people, I can't say it. But I do admit that there are many horrible things happening there.
First of all, thank you very much, Ahmed, Shai, and Hage. Sorry, I'm butchering. At the Humboldt University, when you guys were there, you set up a table, and I think this was one of the more interesting encounters I've had regarding this topic, of course, and I'm very happy to be here. And from what you say, first of all, I want to really thank you, for many things, of course, but also for your courage, for individually, to all three of you, because it's a bit different to all three of you from different backgrounds, with different experiences, but very personal. And I think it takes a lot of courage and also a lot of a big intention and hope which we are kind of losing around these days towards humanity and our, and I think it's something to commend and also thank, and thank you for your intentions and thank you for your courage. And I also want to just point out a few things from my own perspective. And happy to have anything you might want to add, perhaps. This is not really a question, but to be brief, I think what you're doing is very valuable because I feel like we have different levels in this, and we have been discussing a bit more like the political aspect and the different definitions, parties, and etc. It doesn't really sound like it's going to lead to something. And then when we talk about the social aspect, where we're talking about crowds, that's also not really leading to any solutions. But when we come to the individual aspect, what you are doing, going to people, going to schools, talking to people, being again courageous, because you don't know what to expect, perhaps having security detail, and etc. You don't know what's going to happen today or tomorrow. So I think this is very valuable, and maybe it goes on a person, one person at a time basis. Because when we think about it, when we think about the crowds, they already have their answers, and these answers are very easy. It's black and white, and what we're seeing with you and what you're saying is the different facets of it. What your experience is with Hamza. I mean, it's been new to me. I didn't know about what the experience is with the Palestinian people with Hamas.
I mean, right now was a very good example because we had the first talk in universities, and I'm happy you came, and I'm actually agree with everything you say, and I'm very thankful that you're here. I wish more would come. I actually exchanged some phone numbers, and I continue the dialogue, even if there's no agreement at that point. We don't have so much time in the info stand, and I think, as I said, and you also said it, there's no immediate solution. And I always say it in the universities, it's not like I can bring a solution. Actually, every solution will be probably false, especially if it's one solution. And you all know the slogan, one solution. There's never one solution. But if we do it more and more, we will find a solution. Because that's what we do. We are building something new. So maybe not now, maybe not next year, but if it continue in 5-10 years, we can be quite a loud voice where we can sit and listen to each other.
Interactions with people are positive. I have two positive ones that stand out for me personally. I think one of the first experience in the Freie Universität, where we had a person, I think he was Turkish, came over and spoke to us. We had a long conversation on the first day. He came on the second day as well, just to greet us. And he was saying, we talked. We had a really nice discussion. And he was saying, I'm Turkish, I'm Muslim. I march in the pro-Palestinian people, and probably if not for today, I would not have spoken to you or to any other Israeli person. And I'm happy that you were here, and we were able to see that we are having the same opinions, because we both agree that killing millions of people on one side and taking over a land, it's not a possibility and it's not an option. I think we later saw him also in the Humboldt, right, in HU. He also came over to say hello. And he was also saying, I will go back to my friends and I will mention this conversation. And those are the moments that we are looking for. We had a lot more of similar conversations, but he stood out. And in another event where we sat in class and spoke to students, there was one particular, they didn't know in advance who we are and what is the project. And when they first realized we are Israelis and we are here to talk about the war and the conflict, he was freaking out. He was looking into his friends. He was like, I'm out of here. I'm not staying. I don't want to listen. I don't want to talk. And he stayed either way. He was raising his hand up and down and wanting to speak and not saying anything. He went out and he came back inside, and then at the end he said, I'm Palestinian. My dad is from Palestine. I never thought I would say it, but I hate Hamas. I hate what they did on October 7th, and it's hard for me to sit here, and I'm thankful for you for being here. And then he had some follow-up questions, of course, on the Israeli government and what we think and what should be a proper solution. But he stayed, and this, for me, those are exactly the moments that we are looking for.
Otherwise, if we are just going to sit back and watch what they are going to do, it's gonna be a disaster. So I think that we should do more. I mean, for me, sometimes I take that to a personal level to convince someone. So, yesterday it was my barbershop. So honestly, I spoke to him, and when I told him about Hamas stealing the humanitarian aid, he was shocked, and he was, really? Does Hamas steal a humanitarian aid? They was like, they do that since October the 7th. They do that every day. Don't you see it? And I think it's important to show the people that. And thinking back of myself, I mean, I think Shai knows. Back then, when I was maybe 18 years old, 17 years old, I was an anti-Israel, anti-Semitic. If you showed me an Israeli flag, I would run in the street. So I was filled of delusions. And I isolated myself in a bubble. But there is no other solution than confronting the bubble that I was isolating myself in with, for example, the Jewish people, the Israeli people, the things that I was afraid of.
To think that we need so much security to make this event, I think first of all we're very lucky that the Antisemitismusbeauftragte here, Michaela, is so good, and I don't think we could do something like this in other universities. We tried actually, and it's probably impossible, and it shouldn't be. This should be the normal. This should be in every university, and I really don't know how to change. There's like a problem in the system, yeah. And I know, I'm sorry to say that, but there's people who are in charge of anti-Semitism in universities, and they just don't do their job. I'm not saying they should invite us or do something with us specifically, but it's just not enough. After 14 months, there is not much change. And I think it's because these groups are taking over, and they're very, very, very strong, and people are very, very afraid of them. And they impose whatever they want.
And according to the last poll by the PCPRPS, I think it was 32% or something like that. So that's a good thing to happen in Gaza. We are talking about 30% that can be reduced if there is an alternative provided for the people in Gaza, because the people they have no alternative. The Palestinian Authority have nothing to do in Gaza. They just forgot about Gaza once Hamas took over and just remembered us after the war. There was like 18 years, they did nothing. They never spoke even about Gaza anyway. And the West Bank, I think, because the people there did not have to deal with the consequences of Hamas. They still think of Hamas as the freedom fighters. I mean, look at what's happening in Jenin right now. Hamas is fighting against the Palestinian Authority, and by the way, the pro-Palestinian movement did not protest about that. I don't know why it's not interesting. They even shot at 2 hospitals, and they planted explosive devices in one hospital in Jenin. But it's not an interesting news anyway. One of the things that got me really angry recently is there was a lecture that was supposed to take place in Leipzig for the Israeli historian Benny Morris a few weeks ago, and thanks to the BDS, they canceled the lecture. And Benny Morris is or was one of the leftist Israeli historians, one of the greatest one. I like him, and he's one of those even like acknowledged some things that even the official Israeli position does not acknowledge. So he's the most leftist Israeli that you can meet. And those people got to the lecture and canceled the lecture. And my first sentence is if you are not going to talk to Benny Morris, then to whom you are going to talk? To Ben Gvir? You are never going there. So I think they are stupid because they are losing the connection.
I believe that having or leveraging technology and understanding how the new generation learn his facts or not facts, but having an opinion over something and having them interact with each other, face the problems, facing other similar issues when it comes to racism or conflicts, and how we teach history, and how we teach how society should look like. And those are the places where we can actually make a difference. I think those that want to hate, they will hate you. It doesn't matter what you do and what you say and how you look like. And I think it's important that we change the future generation. As we say, I mean, we can. I think with time, it's all there is the phase when we are young, then we are a bit older. We are in this riot phase. We want to fight everyone. We are the only one who are right, and then later on we became more mature, and then we learn with experience, and it's facing down again a bit. So to summarize, I think leveraging technology and education, combining together and doing exercise and learning by doing and not by listening and being lectured.